Released on November 2013 for the Xbox One, Ryse, Son of Rome is a third-person hack-and-slash video game developed by Crytek and published by Microsoft Studios. Set in ancient Rome, Ryse follows the exploits of Marius as he evolves from Roman centurion to Damocles, the legendary spirit of vengeance. With his righteous fury, he seeks those responsible for his family's death, while also protecting Rome from anyone who would do her harm, even if it means killing his own emperor, the infamous Nero. It's no secret that this game plays fast and loose with historical events, and today we'll be looking at some of the most egregious examples I've come across. I'm sure there are more, but if I list them all, we'll be here until next year. So lean back, relax, and allow your humble servant, Journo Skills, to take you on a trip to the distant past. As I said before, this game takes place in ancient Rome, and since it's set near the end of Nero's reign, we can assume that it takes place in 68 AD, I believe. Now here is where our first problem pops up. In the introductory chapter, Rome is being attacked by barbarians. Historically, Rome was sacked in 387 BC by Gaelic Celts and in 410 AD by the Visigoths. In this game, however, Rome is at war with the Britons. And the Romans did have an issue with the Britons. They did come into conflict. But, in reality, that conflict never reached Roman shores. Even though Ryse, Son of Rome, would have you believe otherwise. Oops. Well, I guess we can overlook one massive gaping historical flub. So, let's move on to the next one, shall we? And see how deep the inaccuracies go. Now, as I previously mentioned, Nero was the emperor of Rome until 68 AD. He died at the age of 30, which means he received his title in 54 AD. Yet, this gentleman before us appears markedly older, in his late 50s or early 60s. I suppose those years as emperor really aged the poor man. Or perhaps it was stress caused by his two time-hopping, troublemaking pretend sons. But we'll get to them soon enough. For now, we have other, less rotund fish to fry. And speaking of fish and other maritime topics, after the death of his family, Marius travels to Britannia for a spot of revenge against those pesky barbarian hordes that are seemingly responsible for the dastardly deed. But while attempting to storm the beach, he and his fellow soldiers run into a bit of a snag in the form of a boom chain. The chain is connected to a chain tower, or boom tower if you will, and can be raised or lowered to control marine traffic, especially enemy vessels during times of war. Considering that such a device is featured in this game, in this specific time period, we can only assume that the Romans have somehow mastered the art of time travel and pilfered this contraption from hundreds of years in the future, when such chains were actually invented. Oh, those crafty Romans. The wonders never cease. Now then, moving on to a rather interesting historical figure by the name of Boudica. She was the queen of the British Iceni tribe and spearheaded a revolt against the Roman Empire's occupation of Britannia around 60 AD. In Ryse, she is the scantily clad daughter of the leader of the barbarian hordes, a man named King Oswald, who in actuality never existed. His murder is what causes Boudica to invade Rome seeking revenge. To accomplish this Herculean task, she has somehow raised a naval force to rival those of ancient Athens in 16th century Spain. She also amasses a herd of war elephants. Yes, that's right, the majestic English elephant. Beautiful creatures are simply beautiful. I suppose we can add geography and zoology to the themes this game manages to bungle. It's quite impressive, to be honest. Bravo, Ryse. Bravo. Now, you might be wondering who murdered our beloved King Oswald. Who was the heartless fiend who set poor Boudica on the warpath? Why, it was none other than Commodus. Yes, that Commodus. The one portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator. What a coincidence. Historically, Commodus was the son of Marcus Aurelius and ruled as Emperor of Rome from 176 AD to 192 AD. As emperor, he was a depraved megalomaniac who considered himself the reincarnation of the mythical hero Hercules. In other words, a moron. In Ryse, he's still a moron, so they get that part right. Now, after being rescued by Marius from quote-unquote horned men from ancient times, Commodus celebrates his newfound freedom by killing a captured and defenseless King Oswald in a public display of brutality, thereby sparking the aforementioned conflict between the Romans and the barbarians. Quite the homecoming celebration, I must say. A complete fabrication, of course, as is the notion that Commodus in Ryse is the brother of Basilius, who appears to be a very loose amalgamation of Byzantine emperors Basil I and Basil II, despite the fact that Basilius is separated from the men who inspired his creation by hundreds of years. But who needs facts when you can simply make things up as you go along? It's a lot more fun that way. Now, having said that, why don't we up this stupid factor another notch? What do you say? Ryse seems to believe that these brothers were fathered by none other than our main antagonist, Nero. And here I thought Nero never sired any male heirs, especially time-hopping ones like our boys Commodus and Basilius. But hey, you learn something new every day. So I thank you, Ryse, son of Rome. I thank you for setting the story straight. And while we're on the subject of Nero's apparent offspring, Ryse depicts Commodus as meeting his end in the famous Roman Colosseum at the hands of Damocles, aka Marius. This scene is very reminiscent of his death in Gladiator. He even resorts to poison to give himself an edge in battle. An epic showdown, to be sure, but one that is mired in the ridiculousness that Ryse is so well known for. Nero is shown observing the fight between Marius and Commodus, despite the fact that the Colosseum didn't begin construction until 2 years after his death. Moreover, the real Commodus didn't die in a blaze of glory. He was killed in his bath by a wrestler as part of an assassination attempt. He literally got caught with his pants down. I assure you, this is not kayfabe, but it's no less entertaining. And with that, we will bring our journey to the past to an end. Ryse, son of Rome, might be a ridiculous retelling of Roman history, but it can't be denied that the graphics are still gorgeous, the combat is visceral, if not a bit repetitive, and the acting is good-ish. If you're willing to sit back and turn off your brain, there's a lot to love about this game. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Ta-ta, my friends, and be well.